Greetings and welcome to class. I'm so glad you guys made it. Today's lesson is going to be a fun and fantastic lesson, but before we jump into that, we're going to go over some classroom rules and procedures so everyone has a great time. Hola if you're new and you're just joining us. So, today's first rule, as we always do, is listen. We're going to use our listening bodies, meaning I will listen and follow directions. Make sure you use those listening ears as well. The second thing we do is we're always going to raise our hands, and meaning I will raise my hand to share my ideas or to ask a question. Rule number 3, we will use our quiet voices. I will use a soft voice when talking to my peers, and it has nothing to do with the lesson. You can speak to each other, but make sure you use a quiet voice. Rule number 4. You have to use your walking feet. So I will walk in school and be safe. Same thing for around our classroom. We don't want you running around so you get hurt. So make sure you use walking feet. Rule number 5. We're going to use our helping hands. And when I say that, I mean I will use my helping hands for helping and not hurting. We're going to help each other because this is a classroom and a community. And what we do with each other is help. We don't hurt, we help with our helping hands. And rule number 6, one of the most important rules of all, is to use our caring hearts. We definitely want to treat each other with respect, and you want to use kind words and be nice when you share your opinions or your feelings. So if we can all follow those rules today, I think we can get started. Let's go. As you all know, before we usually read a really cool story, we go over very important vocabulary so we can understand everything that is going on. So today's first vocabulary word is going to be our main character, and his name is Max. Max. So this is Max, and Max is going to be the main character of today's story. Our next vocabulary word is wolf suit. As you see, it's 2 words, wolf suit. And a wolf suit is like a costume or a onesie you can wear that looks just like a wolf. And I don't know if you noticed, but Max, our main character, is wearing a wolf suit. I'm just going to draw an arrow so we all see that. The next word we have is a wild thing. Wild things are also characters in the story we're going to read. And as you can see, that's 2 words again, wild thing. And we're going to learn all about them. This is a new word. It's mischief. So let's clap it out with our syllables. How many syllables do you think are in the word mischief? Mischief. Very good. 2 syllables. And the meaning of mischief is something that's a playful misbehavior or you're causing trouble, especially kids. So you make sure you look out for this word, mischief. Our next vocabulary word is room. R-O-O-M. A room is where you reside. It's a space in your house with walls. So some of us have our own bedroom and some of us share a room. So that is a room, a space that can be occupied or where something can be done. Our next vocabulary word is mother. As we all know, mother is not the only way that we can call our moms and mommies. Mother. Okay. Does anybody want to clap that one out? Mother. So that's 2 syllables. Good job. This is a new word for us, and it is a forest. A forest is a collective of trees in nature. So there's all kinds of forests. And in this story, we're going to see that happen, or we're going to see a forest. And it has beautiful green scenery. The next word we have is grew. So this is past tense of grow. And when something grows, it gets bigger. So if something grew, it must have grown to be a little bit bigger. So I grew carrots. I grew apples. I grew up. I grew taller. So that's a verb of grow. The next word we have is the ceiling. The ceiling is what is above us. Not the exact roof, but right before you reach the roof. So a ceiling is at the top of a room. Our next word is vines. Vines are plants that grow, but not like roots. They grow any kind of direction they feel like. So vines are a type of plant. And they climb usually. They don't stay rooted. They usually climb and grow in all kinds of directions. Our next vocabulary word is walls. Walls make up a room. So we usually have 4 walls in a room. So behind me, I don't know if you see a wall. To the left of me, there is a wall. And to the right of me, there is a wall. The next word we see is the world. The world is where we live, global, planet Earth. That is the world. Then we have night, which we know is when it gets dark. And we have day is when it's sunny outside. Then we have the word roared. So you see that ed? The suffix ed, that means it happened. He roared. An example of a roar is like a lion. Can somebody give me an example of a roar? Give me your best roar. Yes, good job. All right. The next word we have is terrible. Terrible is bad. It's a little bit worse than bad, you know? So terrible is a synonym for bad. So it's extremely or distressingly bad. And it's usually pretty serious. So our next word we have is gnashed. This is a brand new word. So make sure you remember this when you see it in the story in the context of how it is used. So gnashed is when you're grinding your teeth. So when you gnash your teeth, you're grinding them together. And it's usually a sign of when someone is angry. So if somebody's gnashing their teeth at you, they're most likely angry and you want to get out of there. The next word we have is tamed. Tamed is the antonym of wild. Tamed is very controlled, proper, put together, well-behaved, and wild is crazy. Then we have the word magic trick. And that's where we'll stop with the vocabulary. So let's get into our fantastic story. And with this vocabulary, you guys should have a great time reading this book. All right, we've made it to the moment we've all been waiting for. Our book for the day. Today's story is called Where the Wild Things Are. And it's written by Maurice Sendak and illustrated by Maurice Sendak. So, now that we've seen the book for the day, what do you think this book is going to be about? Yes. Okay. You think it's going to be about a monster? And why do you think it's going to be about a monster? Because there's a monster. That's a good guess, a good inference about what the book is going to be about. Let's look a little closer into the book. Other than the monster, we see some trees, maybe a boat. Okay. From the picture on the cover, does the setting seem like it's real life or does it seem like an imaginary place? It seems like an imaginary place. Good inference. Why do you think that? Yeah? Oh, because you see a monster. So you're saying monsters aren't real? Well, we'll get to know once we get started into our book. Ooh, what's this? Where the wild things are to enter. Should I click it? Nah, no. Should I click it? Let's click it. Where the Wild Things Are. Story and pictures by Maurice Sendak. Where the Wild Things Are. Story and pictures by Maurice Sendak. The night Max wore his wolf suit and made mischief of one kind. And another. His mother called him Wild Thing. And Max said, I'll eat you up. So he was sent to bed without eating anything. That very night in Max's room, a forest grew. And grew. And grew until his ceiling hung with vines and the walls became the world all around. And an ocean tumbled by with a private boat for Max, and he sailed off through night and day, and in and out of weeks, and almost over a year, to where the wild things are. And when he came to the place where the wild things are, they roared their terrible roars, and gnashed their terrible teeth, and rolled their terrible eyes, and showed their terrible claws. Till Max said, Be still! And tamed them with a magic trick of staring into their yellow eyes without blinking once, and they were frightened and called him the most wild thing of all, and made him king of all wild things. And now, Max cried, let the wild rumpus start. And they began to party. What's a rumpus? They're swinging from the trees. They're walking through the forest. Now stop, Max said, and sent the wild things off to bed without their supper. And Max, the king of all wild things, was lonely and wanted to be where someone loved him best of all. Then all around from far away, across the world, he smelled good things to eat. So he gave up being a king of where the wild things are. But the wild things cried, Oh, please don't go. We'll eat you up. We love you so. And Max said, No. The wild things roared their terrible roars and gnashed their terrible teeth and rolled their terrible eyes and showed their terrible claws. But Max stepped into his private boat and waved goodbye and sailed back over a year and in and out of weeks and through a day and into the night of his very own room, where he found his supper waiting for him. And it was still hot. The end. What an awesome story. I really hope you guys enjoyed reading that book. It was honestly really good. Is there a time you used your imagination to pretend that you were somewhere else? Would anyone like to share? Go ahead. Okay, so you dreamed that you were at Disney World. You used your imagination that you were at Disney World. Very nice. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when we reviewed our vocabulary, we went over this word, mischief. Mischief. Does anybody remember what mischief meant? Yes. Okay, very good. So, yes, mischief is when someone is being playful or misbehaving, you know, and they're causing trouble. So, they're being a little troublemaker. Now that we know what mischief meant, let's look back at the story and see what type of mischief did Max participate in. Max wore his suit and made mischief of one kind. So does that look like he's being a troublemaker? What is he doing that's causing him some trouble and him being mischievous? Yes, he is knocking a nail into the wall with a hammer. He's building a tent. He's making a mess. Yeah. But he didn't stop there. That wasn't enough for Max. He still had to do more, right? Max also was chasing after the dog with a fork. Does that seem mischievous to you? Yeah, that's not nice. He is causing trouble. And because of all of Max's mischievous behavior, his mom got upset. So that's mischief. And that's how we got into the whole story of Max imagining and pretending to be somewhere else because his mischievous behavior caused him to get in some trouble and he got sent to his room without any dinner. So I have a fun activity planned for us as a class, and then we're going to break up into small groups. For this activity, you can either draw or write into the story map. So with our story map as a class, I'm going to give you 2 answers. And the rest of it, I would like you to work with your peers. We're going to break up into small groups of 3. And in your small groups, you can have one person either help answer the questions. We also need somebody to either write it in or draw it in. And then you guys can all work together to piece together the story from the beginning, the middle, and the end. So this is where I'm going to help you guys. The name of the book that we just read are Where the Wild Things Are. And remember, the author is Maurice Sendak. When you guys fill out your story map, please make sure that all of your names are on it so I know who was in the group. Now we have lots of resources to help you guys understand anything that you don't understand. We could either use our picture dictionary. You can stop and ask for a break, and if you need some help, I will be walking around and answering any questions or piecing together the story for you. And the questions you have to answer are your setting is where did the story take place? You have to remember your characters, who was involved in the story. And remember, you can also use the vocabulary I introduced you guys today. It will be posted for you. Then, right here, I want you guys to tell me what happened in the beginning of the story, what happened in the middle of the story.